Yeah, you gotta love it when the technology changes and you forget about it. My household had the internet upgraded a couple of months ago, and they changed the passwords on our boxes because they can't use the same password from the last box on the new box. So we're back wired in the office. So Dad may have to sit on the side of me here in the office, as you can see, and not participate actively because I can't get him logged in on the other computer.
Hi, Peter.
Well, welcome, and thank you for showing up for the first half hour of Power. My dad came to my house at 10 o'clock this morning, and we spent the first half hour discussing business instead of getting this all logged in. I always assumed that 10 minutes was enough time to launch a meeting, and guess what? We all know that that isn't always the case. But I'm hesitant to even spend time getting the second computer working because, as we know, two computers in the same office will allow for feedback. So my dad brought some amazing news for me today. In the Power of the Planet competition for the month of November, I placed number 5 in the entire organization. So
congratulations.
Huge. And I had no idea that nobody else had done any work in the last week of the month, because when I had seen the review the week before when my dad signed in, there was 12 people that had more than 12 people signed up, and I figured all of them would get at least one more or two more, putting them all way ahead of me. One guy already had 42, and he ended up behind me on the list, so I'm thinking that some of his people, some of his points went elsewhere in his organization because he had so many that he could do that. But either that or one of my upline tagged me with some extra points, because one of the things in the panel, the Project Planet, is if your sponsor has a surplus of points, he can distribute them amongst his downline, amongst the people that are working if they're close. So potentially either Diane or Jonathan added some points to my pile. I'm not really sure. It doesn't show your points. It just shows your position relative to the other people in the contest. So thank you all for jumping in the last week and making this work. As we know, it's a team effort, and nothing in the online space or in the workplace ever happens alone. It's so nice to have people supporting you and your efforts, and it really does make me feel good. It makes me feel like I found the right place. I had a phone call this morning for about half an hour from 9:15 to 9:45, and I was talking to Summer Nelson, who I met at Daily Marketing Coach. Summer is a member of MLSP where I've done some training, and she's a big fan of my upline. It turns out that joining my team because of my upline was a good reason for Summer, because she really admires the lady that I work under. When she found out that I was direct to Jonathan because of that relationship, she was even more excited, and I'm really happy because she told me that she didn't know whether a lot of her nursing staff, lived in their own homes and might be potential customers, but her husband is a licensed professional electrician who has worked locally in the construction trade for 12 years. Now, he knows homeowners. He knows construction company owners. He knows people in the construction business. All these people have contacts with homeowners. I am super excited to see them jumping on the Power bandwagon. Her and her husband are going to attend the rebroadcast of this at 6:30 tonight, when I plan to be online 5 minutes before the meeting starts, especially when I have new guests that may well be offended if they're Virgos and don't know me about the fact that I showed up 5 minutes late. So do you ladies have any questions about the Power Project, or what you've seen in your back office, or what you've seen from the management? And if you saw my email, what did you think of that last cartoon, the 3 minutes about why solar is so simple?
I haven't seen that yet, Michael, but I'm just looking. I got an email from, I'm just looking for it, from a lady.
Vanessa Duplessis?
Yes, Vanessa. And is she somebody that we know then?
Vanessa is in charge of partner relations. She is the lady in charge of all of support, and she is the lady that has been asked by the leaders to follow up with every single person that joins the system within the first 30 days of their joining. Now, this is exciting. I've been with 5 companies in the last 15 years, and the only time one of the company calls me is if I miss my auto ship.
Is this lady, does she work for Powur?
She is a Powur employee in the middle management, works directly with a board of director member as the liaison with the field force. If you have questions about how we get paid, what you're allowed to say, what you can put in advertisements, if you have new people coming into the group, Vanessa is your girl. Vanessa was actually, she was one of the original four with Diane 10 years ago when she started the project that became the Guru Code. So she's been around in marketing forever and really does know her way around online as well as dealing with people, which I believe is part of the reason she's been given this job. I am super excited to know that if I happen to miss somebody that signed up for whatever reason, or if I can't get along with them or I can't get in touch with them, that there's somebody else looking out for these people. I have seen so many people in my years working, particularly online in network marketing, join a company and literally have no support, make no connections, and be gone in 30 days because either they didn't like the person they ended up being sponsored with, or the time schedules just clashed, or there was some sort of communication barrier. Sometimes it's a language barrier, because we're online space. Sometimes we end up people in countries where we don't even speak the language. I talked to one lady, and I had to use Google Translator because she was Czechoslovakian. I've never seen so many consonants in a chat ever in my whole life. Sounded like she was swearing at me all the time. She, of course, hasn't joined Powur yet because we're not in Europe, but she did follow up about it and had some interest. I see that we have another joiner hopping into the group. I believe that's Sarah from down in California.
Yeah, Sarah and my husband.
Oh.
Sarah Gibson from San Diego and Charles Gibson.
Nice. Sarah, if you could tip your camera down just a little bit, we can barely see the top of your hair.
Uh-oh.
Up top the camera. Up on top.
We're seeing your cupboards.
Sarah, they ask you to tip.
I don't. Hold on 1 second.
No problem. No stress at all, actually. For some of us, this is our first online meeting in a Hangout, and part of the reason for doing these at half an hour at a time is not to take up your valuable time, but the other reason for getting started with this is I believe that this sort of meeting is going to be the best way to grow our Powur business. I plan to do something every Monday. I don't know whether it's going to stay at 10:30 and 6:30, but those are good times for me. First of all, we're not competing with any of the big heavy hitters, and we're not competing with our own company's meeting times. Even though there is a 5 o'clock call, it is for new people basically, and it's only 13 minutes at 5 p.m. So getting back on the computer at 6 gives us time to have a meal between the Powur call from Jonathan Budd or whoever's training that week and our own little training where we get together. It's really nice to see everybody here. I was just asking if anybody in the group had any questions from their activity at Powur this week.
Well, I would like for you to train us on everything you know so I can go forward with this.
All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a screen share, and I'm going to put up the solarpreneur.ca website.
Hi, Sierra. I'm Robin.
Hi, Robin. I'm Sarah, but I don't know much about technology. My granddaughter's name is Sierra. She hooked me up.
Sarah. All right.
So I'm in front of my WordPress login. This is the backside of my website. I'm going to go to Posts, All Posts. I hope you guys are looking at the WordPress dashboard right now. It should be black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Good, good. So I'm going to go to my most recent post, Why Solar City Rocks. And this is the video Robin had said she had not seen yet. So I'm going to start with what the company has to share with us, because I think that this is cool and easy to share. It's a 4-minute video that explains why solar is the way to save money.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new one.
Okay, now he's talking my language. So we don't have the audio on that, Michael.
I haven't seen this one before. Every 3 minutes.
Michael, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Is the sound on that video, is there sound, like, or is it muted, or?
I can hear sound. You guys can't hear?
No.
No. I've got everybody else's sound, but no sound from the video.
That work?
No idea how much money you're losing each month until you
That's
see.
better.
There you go.
I had my jack in for my headphones, and I guess muted the sound on my end. Thanks for bringing it up, Agnes.
Oh, well, I'd been trying to bring it up, but I think you couldn't hear me before, so I just logged off and logged back in, and now you can hear me.
There you go. All right, so that's the newest video this week for us to help promote solar, and I
Now-
made a post about it.
The one question I had on that video, because I did listen to it, was I think it says something about fill out the form below or whatever. So are we allowed to use it, and then we'll just click, set up some sort of a form below, or?
Exactly. I should have it in the post right underneath the video that the sign-ups are on the right, just to give direction.
Okay,
Maybe.
So it's okay to use it, though?
All this stuff is, once it's put into the Powur YouTube, we are free to use it anywhere we want in our own websites, on Facebook, or in a funnel.
One thing I might recommend to people is, like, if they're putting it in a post, is to put some sort of like, take off that bottom bar so they can't go to YouTube. Because if they go to YouTube, they won't be going in via your, like, if they go to YouTube to watch it, they won't be going in via your connection.
Okay. How do you take the bottom box off, Agnes? I've been around for 3 years, and I've always posted them this way.
Um, I'll find out a way. Like I use my SFM video
Okay.
presenter, but I know there's another way to do it.
Okay. Well, we'll have you let us know when you figure that out, because I've never even thought of it as being a problem, let alone found the workaround.
And Michael, how would you know whose lead goes to who? Are you saying that we use your website for our contacts?
For the time being, I think it's the best option because I don't have another one available short of building each person their own website, which takes 4 or 5 hours, and they have to come up with their own name, and it would lead to brand confusion. What I plan to do is collect all the names here, and if I don't recognize the name as one of my own contacts, I'll just send an email out to the group with the person's name and see who is the follow-up before they get placed. Until we send them a Powur invite, they can go under anybody, and if for some reason somebody comes in directly underneath me that was supposed to be under somebody else, I have 30 days to move them around inside the organization and place them under the person where they belong. So even if I happen to collect somebody else's lead, uh, because we're all in the group and all the names are in the group, you'll see the person join the solarpreneur.ca page. And I have no problem if one of you comes to me and says, well, I talked to this person, last week, or I talked to this person yesterday, and I sent them to your site, placing them under you so you get paid on their efforts. I think it can be done on the honor system, so it's a problem because our group's grown to the size where it can't. And when I figure out how to do it, I actually plan to turn this site into a membership site where we'll each have our own subdomain so that we'll actually be able to collect our own leads all off the same page. So when you send somebody on one of your links, that would actually be your AWeber opt-in on the right instead of mine. But I have not spent the time to set that up because when the group's only 10 people, it's not the best use of my time. It would probably be 4 or 5 hours for me to turn this into a membership site so you had your own login and access. But in the short term, if there's an interest, I would like to make each one of you an editor in the back office of my WordPress, and that will give you the opportunity to go in and publish your own posts from Solarpreneur. I've done this before. It's fairly easy to do. I would ask that you not publish them until you call me and let me know you've created a post so I can go through and check and edit it to make sure everything's working and done completely to the best of our abilities. There's some SEO stuff that many people won't be familiar with. But when you find a video like this, they recommend the post be 300 or 400 words. You want to keep it short. You want to be personal if you can relate in some way to what the video is you're sharing. In the beginning, I can actually do the posts if you just send me a Word document and put your name on it and publish it, and then I can work through the system to get you into the publishing end of the back office. We can do it in this sort of situation with a post, or one person can be the first person this week, and every week somebody can do a post so we're all familiar with the process. I would love to see you all on your own sites someday and up and running, because I know from my own experience building a website is not the place to start if you're online in business until you've decided how you're going to brand and personalize it yourself. I had some experience, and I don't know whether solopreneur.ca is the best place or the best name to do this, but it made sense to me, and it worked because, first of all, I'm Canadian. You have to be living in Canada to have a .ca, and solopreneur.com had already been taken by Dan Hauer, which has had a lot of success. So I knew that it was a good pick for me, partly because I wanted to get that CA in there to start building my list here in Canada, because there's not a lot of people in Canada on the program yet, which will give us a leg up in a year and a half when Powur comes to Canada. Secondly, some of the people that are in Canada that have joined the Powur team are strictly forced in the States, and they haven't been putting in a lot of Canadian people, because if people don't already have a list, there's not a good reason for people to join unless they're motivated and already in the marketing business. But that's not been a problem for me. Fortunately, the people I'm talking to already have some marketing experience, and they already have either a list of friends and family in the States, or they have some contacts through their online training platform or through their existing social media. I think I have 1,050 people on Facebook, and I search them by country. Over 200 of that 1,050 people are in the States. So even if I followed up with them at one a day, that would be a year and a half worth of follow-up. If I managed to get in touch with 3 of them a day, that would still take me, 2 whole months of doing it every day at 3 a day, just to talk to the ones I know are in the States. And not everybody has their address in their profile, so when you search by a state or a country, it doesn't always come up that way.
You could even just create a page on, like for me, I've got my agnesknowles.ca, so a person could even create a new page on their own current website, unless it was something specific. Like if you're doing knitting.com, then obviously solar power isn't pertinent. But for someone who has their own name or something, to put an extra page on. Now, I'm going to put a link in the chat. The YouTube player thing is a freebie. I understand you may get one of my ads when you use it, but you can still use it, and you just, I think you can download it onto your dashboard on your website.
Good.
And the parameters in there are to get rid of all of the external prompts.
Well, I'm so glad I've got somebody on my team that knows all this stuff and can keep us all efficiently organized. I know that sending other people to company stuff in the past with my Immunotech business has been a problem, because I've done a lot of videos on Immunotech, but anytime I've connected used the Immunotech company broadcast, which is one of the reasons I started doing my own videos, I had that very same problem. They were going back to the company's YouTube page and then contacting the company directly, or picking somebody else they knew in the company. So eliminating that YouTube box and all those connections, distractions, advertisements, and push buttons is certainly a good thing to learn as part of your marketing strategy. It's the same problem with Sarah saying, if we send people to your website, where do they end up? We will address that as soon as I figure out how to do this membership plugin. I understand that this WordPress site, it's just a matter of plugging it in and setting it up. And then your page can be solopreneur /Sarah, or solopreneur /Robin, solopreneur /Agnes. And that way we can separate the leads, and all you need is your own Aweber account. I know Agnes has an Aweber. I don't think anybody else here does. So Aweber is a autoresponder, and next week I will do some basic Aweber training. I'll actually, during one of these meetings, I will publish a group email out just to show you how that tool is used, and maybe that day in the evening post I will create a information post based on that week's published company video, and I'll get each one of you to input something in the post as we work through it during our half-an-hour training, if that makes sense and would be something valuable.
Yeah.
Is Powur going to come up with a funnel that we can adopt and adapt?
By the first of the new year, when they go for their national launch, Powur will have company-branded landing pages available to everybody for free, and at that time they'll be opening up basically a replicated site that will be powur.com/Agnes, and it will have all social media tools. It will have a plugin that connects it to your Aweber. It will have loaded landing pages that you can customize for either partners, advocates, or for customers. So,
but it has to be the replicated site. We can't transfer the replicated site onto our own domain name.
I don't know, and I haven't asked that question, but that would be something you could send the question to support, or if you want to get Vanessa, you could actually ask that in the Powurpreneur group and tag Vanessa in the post, and she would be able to respond, and that would help everybody in the group, because not only would you get your answer, but they'd also get their answer.
Yeah, it's just that if we use replicated, then it makes it really difficult to do any advertising.
I understand, and I'm hoping they've thought of that. And when I say replicated, I'm assuming that their web platform is going to be replicated, because that's the only type of site I've ever seen. Even the new MLSP sites program, it's a cross between your own blog and a replicated website, because it's still on MLSP.com, and you're a / of that with your name for whatever your website is. And only your name appears because it's actually a subdomain, not a domain. But if you look in the header, it's MLSP.com / whatever you named your replicated site.
Yeah, it's just like with SFM, their replicated site. I bought my own domain name and ported all of theirs over to my own domain name, and SFM doesn't show up anywhere. I can also go into my back office and, if I don't like a particular ad, I can either change it or remove it. I can change anything up I want. But it just comes ready loaded with all my links, except, as I say, it's my dedicated, it's my own personal domain name that I purchased.
I don't know, but I've got already a list of questions to send into support today, so I will add that to my list of questions in support, see where we end up. I think it would be great if we could each have our own personally branded website with the company's tools on board, if that's the way they're going to let us play. And I understand they want to give us as much freedom as they can. That was one of the things I was really relieved about that. They said as long as you share the stuff we publish in entirety, feel free to share it anywhere, anytime. And that's pretty open-minded for a network marketing-based company. And most of the ones I've talked to say, yeah, you can share it in social media, but we don't want you taking it off social media and using it where we can't see it. We don't want it to be attached to things that we don't know what's going on, like using it on inside your own funnel or for your own training purposes. So this is kind of refreshing. The other thing is, all the technology I've seen far has been almost seamless. This is the first company who's replicated or company website I've ever gone to, and I haven't had a problem in the first week with something I clicked on or something that didn't work the way it was reported to be. And I think that's why they haven't released their version of replicated sites yet, is they're still testing them out, and they want to make sure that everything works before they hand them to the public, because I understand Powur is now just about 3,000 partners and over 5,000 if you include advocates. Now, considering when I joined, I was number 1,121, to be over 3,000 90 days later is huge growth for the company.
I'm going to have a meeting tomorrow with Jonathan Budd and Bob Smith, and at the last meeting, it was at his house last Wednesday. He said, I asked him if I can use my consultant that came to my house to do a consultation, if I could use his marketing materials, and he said, run for it. Cards, door hangers. So they said they don't have any problem with us using Solar City.
Well, that is good news. I didn't know that, but that is wonderful. When you do get the material, can you scan it and send it to us or post it in the group once you've scanned it in?
Yes, I would like for you to speak to that consultant that came to my house. He wants to work with me, of course, because he's going to get all my leads, but I want to build a strong relationship. And he said that if this works out, he will sign his wife in a meeting. So if you can call him, because I'm very vague about the whole, I'm good at selling any product, but I don't know how to sell this company.
I understand, Sarah. After this meeting, if you can put his contact information in the chat, I will reach out to him today. And once I've talked to him, or when I do talk to him, I will get him on a third-party call so we can all be on the phone together. That way you can hear what I'm saying to him as I try to recruit him, and that will give you more confidence the next time you're in this situation, because you'll see how the back and forth works as I try to share the information and answer his questions. Does that work for you?
Thank you. Yes.
Is this an installer?
He, Michael submitted me as a, Michael, can you explain how he got to my house?
This is the Solar City representative. I guess basically he's a field engineer. He's the guy that comes to your site, climbs up on your roof, plugs into the computer, takes a satellite picture. Once I enter somebody into the lead system, if I haven't specified a contact, it goes into the Solar City pool and goes to the next person that comes up on the list. Because we didn't have any relationship with anybody, I didn't put a name in, so it just randomly came up. What's this gentleman's name, Sarah?
Kirby Sorsen, and he's only 28. He's open-minded, eager, good presentation. I was analyzing him, how he was giving me the presentation, and he didn't know nothing about Powur, and I took him the following day to the meeting at Jonathan's house, and he liked it, but he didn't like that we didn't talk about a compensation plan, how much he's going to make.
Oh, probably because we're getting paid better than they get paid.
I hope so. Yes.
Well, I
So
understand that. Yeah.
I was just going to say, so he's a Solar City approved guy.
Salesperson. He's the
Okay.
he's the consultant. The engineer will come later, but he came and gave me an estimate. I learned a lot. He sent me the presentation that he made for us, and you can also do click on Spanish for the Spanish people. So they're very sophisticated with their technology.
Cool.
That is super good news, especially the fact where you are in California. Having Spanish as an option is probably the most important aspect of the presentation for everybody you're going to talk to.
He even lent me his banner so I can use on my I don't know, presentations. So he gave me everything he had with Solar City. So I'm confused. Am I solar or power?
Well, I think, and that is, it's all the same thing. I don't spell it out, but I suggest that it's us, Powur, working with Solar City on Elon Musk's dream. And I think as long as it's Elon Musk's dream and not his business, we're okay to share it that way, because Powur does directly support Elon Musk's stated dream to panel half of the United States in a decade. So we're not misrepresenting, but we are using the Tesla brand and the Tesla success to show people how big this thing is. 2 of the 6 people I've recruited, the fact that we were the name distributor for the Tesla product was more exciting to them than selling solar panels. And because they're big picture people and they can see down the road that, honestly, I think the product that's going to retire us all wealthy doesn't even exist yet. I mean, they've got their solar panel systems, and they're going to have the batteries later this year, and sometime next year they're going to have energy efficient solar appliances. But I think where the real genius and the real success is going to be is when we can start marketing the Tesla electric vehicles. Partly because they're such a larger ticket item. Solar panel systems are $10,000 to $15,000 install, but you can't touch a Tesla car now for under $40,000 US. And even when the D comes out, it's going to be a $30,000 US or a $40,000 Canadian purchase. And if they're even 5% on the commission, it's going to mean like $800, $900 just to sell a friend a car that gets delivered to them by a company, and you don't have to do anything but introduce them to the opportunity. And better yet, as these products become available, Powur will directly solicit all of your own customers on your behalf. So once they're in your grid and they're your customers, every 3 months or 6 months or 9 months as a new product gets rolled out, without you even having to go to your email responder and type them a letter, the company will be sending them out, unless they've opted out of it, the next option to save money using solar. And that's where the long-term residual is going to come in, is as the second and third and fourth products come through the system. In a lot of cases, we know that people have bought from you once are more likely to buy from you again than somebody else. So every time we bring a new product into the grid, our sales percentage-wise should just grow exponentially, because the more they buy, the more they're likely to buy, and the more we offer, the more options they're going to have to buy. And quite often, it's at that second point of sale where you can go back to the person and say, well, now that you're proven to be a super fan or a huge supporter of this Tesla project, how would you like to look at it as a part-time business, so one day, 5 years down the road, you can quit your job and do this full-time? You're obviously already excited about what we do, so why don't I show you how you can make some money at it? All right, if anybody has a question, I will stay and answer it, but we have been on for 35 minutes, and I want to keep these things short. First of all, I don't want to take up all your valuable time, because I want you talking to people, and I want to have something still to share tonight. So I think what I'm going to share tonight at 6:30 is how to effectively share a post and how to leave a good quality comment. And I'm going to ask that every day, if each of you could go to solarpreneur.ca and publish one post a day somewhere in your social media after you put a comment, that'll start getting the solopreneur stuff in front of a larger audience of people, so as people come in, the team will get a larger share of the new people, because it's through the different people seeing it in different places, they start saying, oh, well, I've seen this, and I've seen this, and this is, oh, and they're all going back to the same place. Particularly other people in Immunitech, because all 6 of my present partners are from Immunitech. If we all start posting the same thing, they're going to see that it's all way back to the same thing. And I mention in every second post that this is just an extension of Michael's Health Answers, because in my opinion, fixing the pollution problem is as important as taking healthy supplements or drinking clean water, because it's the air we breathe. And at the end of the day, if the air isn't good, it doesn't matter how much clean water you consume or how many supplements you want, you are going to be stressing your body and taxing your immune system because of your exposure to pollution. It
So
really is part of the same dream.
healthy body, healthy planet.
And they aren't exclusive, and that's the disconnect for most people. I recommend, actually, if you guys haven't read it, go find this book by Tom Hartman. It's called The Last Days of Ancient Sunlight. And in it, he describes how it is the going from a tribal culture to an agrarian culture 7,000 years ago that started us on the roller coaster ride that's coming to a head now 7,000 years later. Gilgamesh cut down the trees on the Mediterranean shore 7,000 years ago to create the first kingdom that was not tribal in the Fertile Crescent, and he literally turned that land into a desert because he cut down all the trees. The trees are what filter the salt out of the water. The salt is what contaminates the crop fields because they've been cropped for 30, 40, 50 years, and then in the end they become a desert because salt water doesn't support green growth, and green growth is needed to create soil. So it's not the pollution that's been the whole problem, it's the fact that we're cutting down our trees, which is what filters the water so it's clean for humans to consume and grow crops with. The now problem with adding the fossil fuel has just accelerated the problem started 7,000 years ago, because basically as the mankind moves around the planet and cuts down the trees, he's actually cutting down the quality of the lung capacity of our planet, just like somebody that was suffering from lung cancer would be cutting down the quality of the oxygen they receive because their lungs are only half left because they've had no use by man. So it's all connected, and this solar option is the best thing I've seen so far to fixing the problem in a practical way that could be easily shared. And the fact that we get to make money on it, as far as I'm concerned, it's like my Immunitech. If they pay me, that's bonus, but I'm going to promote this till the end of my time, just like I promoted Immunitech, whether I profit or not, because it's good for everybody.
Cool. Do you know off the top of your head if they're in Iowa?
No, but I can find out.
Okay, it's okay. I can go look too.
Sitting here in my clipboard is the map.
Oh. I just had a thought while you were talking.
What's the letters for Iowa?
What do you mean letters? IOWA?
Not yet. Right now we are in Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Washington, and Washington, D.C., Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, the city, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Texas, Vermont, and Washington, the state. So it covers 70% of the U.S. population, and they're basically adding a state a week right now. There are outlets in Portland, Oregon, Boulder, Colorado, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Las Vegas, Henderson, Carson City, and Reno, Nevada, as well as Dallas, Texas. Dallas Central is the only area in Texas that has solar city coverage.
Do they have commercial ability as well?
I believe that
like on commercial buildings?
They don't do big industrial plants yet.
No, but apartment blocks or something like that.
Absolutely. With in the strata or the apartment, it's an approval of the majority owner, or it goes to the strata if you were to like get into a one of those elderly places like with the patio homes and the strips and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is straight apartment.
Yeah,
I just recently met somebody who's a property manager down in Iowa. So
I'm sure they'd be excited to take on a large job. Although I don't know that it would count as more than one. The way Jonathan described it last week on a training was if you have a builder that has multiple sites, you put in the building address, and each building becomes A, B, or C as a site number underneath it, so each one gets paid separately. So depending on whether the person owns the whole building and rents it, or whether there's people in the building that own their own places, how that would be structured. But I think you'd want to try and figure it out so that each apartment owner got their own solar installed, then you would get paid on each one, and the person that you recruited would, you'd get paid the percentage, and they'd get paid the bulk on each transaction.
Yeah. No, this guy just owns the whole block, so, but he owns several blocks.
Well, as long as he applies individually for each one, he would get the 500, and you would make the $100 override on each apartment. They were set up separately. And now, as far as buildings go, I honestly don't know, because it becomes complicated because of the roof space share and all that. But I would ask in the group, or if you attend. I don't think we have Thursday. There's some question answer, I believe, but I haven't asked a question yet, and I don't know what the mechanism is.
Alrighty, thank you.
No problem. I will add that to my list to send off to Powur support. Got some good questions. Is there anybody else?
Thanks, folks. It's lovely to see you all again.
Good to see you, Robin.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Okay. We'll catch up with you another time. Is this going to be every Monday?
Every Monday at 10:30 or 6:30, whichever works. I'll try and cover basically the same material, but I will cover the same topic.
Good. Okay, nice to meet you, Peter. Can Peter hear?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you gentlemen next week.
Thanks.